I drive because I love my children on the bus. I started off driving to be at home with my children on snow days and holidays. And in that 24-year time that I've been with the county, I have enjoyed every child on my bus and the families and the connections I've met.
Why do I drive? I drive because of the students. It's those students that make my day. You make relationship with these students, and even after they graduate from high school, they'll come up and give you a hug and let you know that they appreciate you and what you did.
I love driving a school bus because I had a school bus driver that I admired, and I always watched her, and she was a great person, and that challenged me to be a good bus driver. And I was a trainer for 2 years for Roanoke County, and I loved it. I enjoyed showing people what I do.
This is a family. We consider ourselves part of the transportation family. And once you become part of the family, you stay part of the family. We learn about each other's family, we support each other, we're there for each other, and we have fun while we're doing it. We get to help the students, we get to be there for them and support them.
I drive the school bus because I wanted to have some adult interaction as a stay-at-home mom. I wanted to get out, and driving with Roanoke County, I have great students. I've enjoyed this nearly 20 years now, and I also like being a part of the community, and they trust me with their kids, and I enjoy being with my students.
I enjoy driving. The best part about driving a school bus is the children that I pick up every day.
Why?
Because they keep me younger. I'm 78 years old. They keep me younger.
I retired from public service, and I stayed at home and did all my honeydews, and basically I got bored. I wanted something to do. My wife was a teacher, so this allowed me to have money and time off during the summer.
We do this to have something to do. A lot of our drivers are retirees, and they come out to do their community service and have a routine and have a reason to get up in the morning, and they get a little extra fun money to go on vacation and that kind of stuff. So it's a great job.
My best friend's been driving for over 10 years, and he said, look, if you're going to work part-time, you might as well make as much money as you can. And for a part-time job, it pays pretty good for this area. I enjoyed the elementary kids more than I do anything, but it's been a lot of fun.
People tell me that how can you drive kids, and I'm like, hey, that's the best part of the job. The rest of it's a piece of cake. So, but I really enjoy, driving, and keeps me active, gets me up in the morning.
I drive the school bus because I love it. It's an awesome job. I love going and picking up the students, watching them get on the bus, the little ones with the big smiles on their face, wondering, all the excitement they're going to be doing while they're going to school, middle, high school. I drive all ages. It's just a wonderful job.
I drive because I'm retired Navy, and it's great, after serving my country, to give back to my community. Our kids are the future of America, and it's great to have a part to where I'm contributing to them and to make sure that they get what they need.
We will train you from the get-go. We should be able to help you through the whole process of getting your learner's permit, getting your endorsements, and then we have a 24-hour classroom training that we do, and then we do your 24-hour on-the-road training. So we do all of it in-house. All you need to do is come with a love for children.
Maybe these were the buses we bought this year.
Oh, okay.
My grandson like that. 559.
Mine doesn't go as fast.
Close enough.
Gas bus.
Yeah, you got
All
right. You got the diesel.
Good evening. I'd like to call the Tuesday, January 19th, 2021 Roanoke County School Board meeting to order. Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Mr. Greenway.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Moretz.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Linden.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ray.
Here.
Mr. Butzer.
Here. Would you rise and pledge allegiance with me? Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Are there, item number 2, are there any changes to the agenda?
Make a motion that the agenda be approved, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
Second.
Madam Clerk, the roll.
Mr. Greenway.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Moretz.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Linden.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ray.
Ma'am.
Mr. Butzer.
Yes. All right. Presentations and recognitions, 3.01, recognition for the Certificate of Excellence Award in Risk Management for Workers' Compensation. Mrs. Susan Peterson and Dr. Nicely.
I'll invite Ms. Peterson to come on up here. So we're very proud, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Roanoke County Public Schools has been selected by VACOR to receive the Certificate of Excellence Award in Risk Management for workers' compensation for school divisions with more than 10,000 students. This award was presented virtually at the Virginia School Board Association annual conference held back in November. But we want to officially present Ms. Peterson and her staff with this plaque on behalf of VACOR and congratulate her and her team for the wonderful job they do with risk management on behalf of our school system. So here's the official plaque, very beautiful.
I was afraid you were going to ask me to say that. So it was a surprise to me that we got this award, because basically we're just doing our job, right? So I did reach out to VACORP and ask them, why did we get this? And they said it's based on student population, continuous effort to evaluate and mitigate risk, claim losses, corrective action when losses do occur. So to me, this is affirmation that our policies and procedures over our safety program and our Workers' Compensation Administration are top-notch, and they're working, and they're top of the line. So this award goes out to really all of the school division employees who practice safety, all of the employees who provide safety training, and all of the principals and the supervisors who work with my team to ensure the injured workers get back to their job as quickly as possible.
All right. Well done. Thank you.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is hearing of citizens and delegations. The first person who signed is Mr. Chris Kraft.
Good evening, Mr. Butzer, members of the school board. It's an honor to be an employee of such a great school system that keeps their employees safe. It'll be 3 years, February 1st, that I've been honored to be a part of this. But I gave each one of you a bus, including Mr. Nicely and Miss McClone. For 20 years now, me and Chuck Lineberger have been working with Fill the Bus. I don't do that. I don't get paid to do it. I do it because of the kids. It doesn't matter if it's Roanoke City or Roanoke County. But working on Roanoke County buses, the kids tug my heart. I've had kids that didn't have book bags. I'd go out and buy book bags, school supplies. Chuck deserves an award because he runs from site to site to site, doesn't ever get time to sit down and relax. But I want you to, when you look at these buses, think of the kids that ride each of our buses every day. They might not be the richest kids, but they have the best teachers, they have the best staff at their schools. And because of people like Chuck and the many volunteers, many of y'all have come out and helped us with Fill the Bus. That's just a small appreciation for me and my neighborhood association, Wildwood Civic League, to say thank you for everything that you do for our kids. It goes above and beyond. and our employees, because we got the best. Well, if you've seen the back of my van, well, I'm trying to get the best bus drivers. But that's hard to do with this pandemic. But I want you to know that our bus drivers appreciate everything you do for us.
Thank you. Chris, before you go, you know, one of the things, I know you gave this to us to remind us of the kids who are in these buses, but when I look at this bus, I think of people like you who are in those buses, who are taking care of these kids, our bus drivers who get them to back and forth to school every day safely. So it takes a team, but we're proud of you folks as well. Thank you, Chris.
Yes, well done.
All right. The next speaker is Rachel Worcester. May we just have your name and address, please?
Hi. So my name is Rachel Worcester, and I live in Roanoke City at 2027 Denison Avenue Southwest. I'm a teacher at Cave Spring Middle School, and I'm here because at the last meeting, myself and several other teachers submitted written concerns, which were then not read publicly, despite following the submission guidelines. So I've come here today in person to ensure that my comments are read and addressed. Specifically, I'm here to ask the board to reconsider your position regarding allowing students to play sports. Over the past weeks, RCEA and your employees have come to you asking you to consider switching to online instruction. Not only have you not read letters of support publicly or discussed the proposals and concerns seriously at board meetings, you've decided that instead we should take on an even greater risk by allowing students to play sports against health department guidance. I would like to remind everyone that in the month of November, Roanoke County Schools reported 133 cases of coronavirus among students and staff. In the first half of December, we reported an additional 101 cases. In the last 2 weeks, we reported 71, 28 of which were teachers and staff members. As a result of these high case numbers, we've been told clearly by Dr. Morrow and the health department that playing sports at this time is unsafe and could lead to further transmission of COVID-19. I believe we need to listen to the experts and to the new guidelines released by Governor Northam last week that states that schools should put academics ahead of extracurricular activities and the decisions be made in coordination with the local health department. I would like to remind you all that while you have the right to make this decision, it is children, teachers, and staff members who will deal directly with the consequences and who will be put most at risk. If given a choice, many teachers, myself included, would prefer that we switch to online instruction due to our high case numbers. However, you haven't given us a choice. Today I have been in a room with 26 different children, none of whom have the benefit of using the plexiglass dividers seen here. I have classes of 12 students in a room about a third this size. Please do not add to the high level of risk teachers and students are already taking every day. While children are less at risk of serious illness, teachers and staff members are at as much risk as anyone else. You have an obligation to protect the health and safety of your employees by following all CDC guidelines and recommendations from our local health officials. I understand that sports are important and that we all want to get back to normal. I feel the same way. However, the only way for things to truly get back to normal is by getting coronavirus under control, which requires all of us to work together and follow health guidelines. Every decision and risk each of us takes affects the whole community. As a result of your current plan, children who are taking on the risk of playing a sport will be in school with children and teachers whose families can't afford such a risk. I ask you to abide by your previous statements and promises and put the safety and health of students and staff first. Please follow CDC and local health guidelines and wait until it is safe to resume sports. Thank you for your time and consideration to these matters.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 6, the consent agenda. What about 5?
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Thank you. It's been a while. All right, yes, sorry about that. Mr. Mark Linkus, report by Student Advisory Council.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and Dr. Nicely. My name is Mark Linkus, and I'm a senior at Glenver High School. So the Student Advisory Council met last on January 6th over a WebEx call where members of the Technology Acquisition Team, Ms. Swecker and Mr. Terry, gave a presentation on the team's purpose, which is to improve, test, and implement different forms of technology that will benefit students and faculty in Roanoke County. As well, they went over the different forms of security technology they have set in place in order to protect against cyber incidents. To end the presentation, Mr. Terry and Ms. Schweiker went over the importance of encouraging students to act responsibly on the web in order to create a acceptable online presence that colleges and businesses might see. Lastly, the SAC is continuing to plan for the upcoming Student Leadership Conference that will be held virtually this March. So thank you so much for your ongoing support of the Student Advisory Council.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. Okay. Item number 6, the consent agenda. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Madam Clerk, the roll.
Mr. Greenway.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Moret.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Linden.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ray.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Butzer.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Item number 7, action items. The first one on the agenda is 7.01, 2019-2020 VDOE Security Equipment Grants Award. Mr. Jeff Terry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Dr. Nicely. Since 2013, the Virginia Department of Education has offered a grant opportunity to provide funding for the physical security of public school buildings. This is a competitive grant that's based on criteria using local composite index, age of the school buildings, and crime and incident reports. Grant funds must be spent by June of the following year. And important for this topic, all unused grant funds will be offered to school districts that did not receive funding. Roanoke County Public Schools received funding in each year except 2018 and 2019. However, in December, we received word from the VDOE that $5,927 of leftover funds from 2019 was awarded to Roanoke County Public Schools. These funds are approved for the purchase of security systems requested on the original grant. The schools receiving the funding are Glen Cove Elementary and W.E. Cundiff Elementary. A local match of $1,481.75, which is 25% of the grant, is required. We would use these funds for cabling needed for security systems. Staff recommends the acceptance of the 2019 VDOE Security Grant for a total project of $7,408.75, of which $5,927 will be receipted from the VDOE and allocated from the minor capital grant reserves, and $1,481.75 will be spent from local funds allocated from minor capital reserves. Any questions?
Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I move item number 7.01 for approval.
All right. Do I have a second? Madam Clerk, the roll.
Mr. Greenway.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Moret.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Linden.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ray.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Butzer.
Yes, ma'am. All right, 7.02, request for purchase of new live streaming equipment. Mr. Chuck Lineberger.
703. I think we got one more.
Yeah, my sheet is a little messed up here. All right.
I'm the opening act for Chuck.
Okay, do you have anything else, Jeff?
I've got one more, yeah.
Okay, and what is that?
It's same topic, but for the 2020.
The same topic, it's just here twice. All right, thanks.
Next year.
So, more good news on the same topic. The 2020 VDOE Security Grant has been awarded to Roanoke County Public Schools in the amount of $204,000 for the purchase of installation of security equipment for Hidden Valley Middle, Northside Middle, and Williamburg Middle. A local match of $51,000, which is 25% of the grant, is required. The equipment must be purchased and installed by June 4th of this year. Staff recommends the acceptance of the 2020 VDOE Security Grant for a total project of $255,000, of which $204,000 will be receipted from the VDOE and allocated from the minor capital grant reserves, and $51,000 will be spent from local funds, which will be allocated from the minor capital reserves.
Any questions?
No question.
Mr. Moritz?
So, what specifically, when it mentions security equipment, what's the plan for the 3 schools?
It's for security cameras, additional security cameras.
Okay, to hit some blind spots. Are we upgrading? Or is it these brand new cameras?
It's adding to the cameras that we have.
Okay.
So it'll be similar equipment, probably better megapixels or something on the camera.
Gotcha.
So it's an upgrade there, but it's additional cameras for each school.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Are they not needed at the other 2 middle schools, Glenver and Cave Spring?
Glenver didn't qualify because we had used Glenver as a grant in 2018, and they didn't accept it. And Cave Spring Middle School is too new to qualify for the grant.
Okay. May I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve action item number 7.02.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Mr. Greenway.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Morat.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Linden.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ray.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Butzer.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks.
All right, 7.03, request for purchase of new live streaming equipment. Mr. Lionberger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. As you know, we began live streaming in October with our first live date of October the 22nd. Let me give you just a shade of history here. On that date, since then, that particular meeting has been viewed 535 times. The November 4th meeting, 255 times. November the 12th, 366. December 1, 364. December 10th, 415. And our last work session on January 5th was viewed 605 times for a total of 2,540 viewings just since we began in October. Tonight I come before you with a request to upgrade some of the equipment. That was what Mr. Terry was just talking about, upgrading megapixels. That's exactly what we're talking about, and actually talking about it for this camera that folks who are at home watching right now. I have two main cameras that we're using for the live stream in addition to the GoPro that is in the back. The first camera is a Sony. It is a more professional quality camera. The camera that we're using over here, tonight it is camera 1, is a Handycam that we are borrowing. It's an older one that we are borrowing from Burton, and it's time that we need to upgrade that camera to something a little bit more professional quality so that we can provide a truly quality product and service for the folks that are watching it. So with that, I am requesting the amount of $4,426.53 out of school board funds to upgrade this entire camera set and a few other additional pieces to ensure that we have a good live stream product for folks that are watching.
Any comments or questions?
Motion to approve 7.03.
May I have a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Mr. Greenway.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Morat.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Linden.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ray.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Butzer.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr.
Before you leave,
Yes, sir.
Chuck, I know you hate praise, just like Mr. Terry hates praise, but from the very first meeting, it took a lot to have that very first meeting live streamed, and based on all the feedback that I'd gotten from people who watched it, they thought the quality was great. And I think it's fantastic now that people can see, these board meetings, and especially the work sessions, where when we talk about consent agenda, people wonder why we approve them so quickly. But all that stuff is discussed at work sessions. I think it's great, and you've done a great job. Well done.
Thank you, sir. We're actually having other school systems now asking us how do we do this, and kind of figuring out so that we're helping some other folks now to do some of the same things.
TV station background pays off, huh?
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Always a leader, Chuck.
Yep, definitely. All right. Item number 8, information items. 8.01, acceptance of William J. Cage Library Trust Grant. Ms. Heather Bosley.
Hello. Thank you so much for letting me come today. I appreciate your time in sharing the library department's fantastic news. We have received the William J. Cage Library Trust Grant for approximately $12,600. It'll be divided up between the 26 schools, with them receiving approximately $483. And it stipulates that they will be used for books or ebooks, and we have a really big ebook selection now because of COVID that provides equity to all of our students, whether they're at home, hybrid, or in school. So, thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well done. 8.02, instructional highlights, Mr. Mike Riley and Mrs. Stephanie Hogan.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members, and Dr. Nicely. I'm here this evening to provide you with an update on where we are in terms of our elementary expansion plan. I'm pleased to share that the elementary schools are currently on track to bring back fourth graders starting on Monday, January 25th. This Wednesday and Friday have been set aside as moving days for teachers to work in their classrooms to get those desks and materials secured and put in place for our fourth graders to return on Monday. Also, the schools have heard from many parents about returning to online instruction, we're excited to say, and we're looking forward to serving them in person on the 25th. For those students who are choosing to remain online, there have been 8 new online teachers that have been hired to provide instruction to them. These teachers are receiving training this week to prepare them for this new role. So they will be actually here in the central office tomorrow and on Thursday to receive online training. And then last, also just want to let you know that we also have those 5th grade students who were identified, whether they were English language learners, special education, or students that were currently failing a course that were identified that will be attending school beginning on January 25th as well.
Questions?
No, thank you for your work.
Of course, we also presented at the board meeting that we're also looking to bring back some secondary students starting on the 25th as well. So the high schools and middle schools have been working really hard. We've asked them to maximize their staff and their space to get as many of these kids back as possible. So they're currently doing that. I know several of them are preparing and already starting to call families, inviting them back in. And really trying to create an individualized plan for each kid in terms of what they need. We've got some seniors who we just want to make sure that they're getting the things they need, so we've got some very specialized things we're looking to do for them. So we're excited, and I know it's been a little stressful on staff because, again, they're having to move things around, and anytime there's a change, it causes a little stress. But I think we're all excited to know that we're going to get some of those vulnerable kids back in who really need that extra instructional time. We're also pleased that we're able to share a new, I guess it's almost a series we've started to a certain extent. Last time at the board meeting, we presented Mr. Lineberger went out and got some interviews with teachers just in terms of how they've kind of functioned in this new hybrid virtual landscape, some of the neat things they've been able to do. And we're going to start this board meeting and hopefully in board meetings to come talking to some students. So Chuck was able to go out to one of our local high school and middle schools, and we're hoping to get to more, to talk to kids about kind of how they've experienced this year. And I've already gotten to see it, and there's really some neat things you're going to get to see here. So Chuck, go ahead.
I just wanted to make the most of it. I knew we had been given an unlikely set of cards, and we just had to make the most of whatever we had been given for our senior year, even though it wasn't going to be exactly what we wanted. We just had to make it work and just really take advantage of every opportunity that we were in school, because some students may not even enter the building ever again. So just making every moment count here at Northside is what I really wanted to focus my senior year on. My teachers went above and beyond in everything they did, trying to make this year, as uncertain as it was, trying to give us a stable classroom setting, and just really helped us through everything we had questions with. I feel like normal. I feel normal wearing a mask at school. I feel normal only having 3 or 4 people in my classes now. I honestly can't imagine sitting 2 people at a desk anymore. I just feel like the teachers, especially, and all the staff here at Northside have really made this feel normal and just made it the best that we can do. We've had like senior socials where we got to have hot chocolate before the winter break, even though we haven't had a lot to do with like our senior year, and it just felt really special to be with other people. And I feel like everyone here, especially at Northside, is really trying to make even this uncertain year really special for us.
It did feel like I was going to 2 different schools, because I was home 3 days. And then, I don't really know. I guess it's just really weird staying at home and doing schoolwork. I have a little brother that just started kindergarten, so he goes every day, and then I'm still in class and like doing schoolwork when he gets home. So he's kind of a distraction. I think it's easier being in school than at home, because I can ask my teachers like in person
how helpful is it to be able to have that teacher right there in the classroom with you?
It is very helpful.
In what way?
In many ways, because at home, I ask my mom if she can help me with stuff, and she can't really do it, and my dad can't really do it either. So it's really helpful to me to be in the classroom with teachers.
It's easier to be in person with somebody. And, I mean, I can ask, I know exactly what's on my mind, and I can just say that. And, like, my teacher is there to help me with that, and right then and there, I can get it done. I get most of my work done in school because it's easier for me. At home, I don't really get as much work done as you. They can really help you if you need it.
You can tell the teachers they feel for the seniors, and they're working hard too, because all of my teachers are making sure the seniors stay in check, and if they have to extend the due date, they will. And the teachers have been very nice with making sure that we're comfortable and we get things done. Most of the time, students view teachers as just kind of like they're superior and they're just learning from them, but this year it's been a big change where the teachers have turned to the students' friends, where we see their struggle and they see our struggle, and we both try and help each other. And it's been a good combo, and all of my teachers have helped out the students in any way they possibly can to make us better. I haven't played a school baseball game since the last game of my sophomore year, which is crazy to think about that, but it's been so long. It's gonna be great to get back on the field with the Vikings jersey on, for sure, definitely.
You can either look at it as a glass half full or a glass half empty. You can't really change anything about it, so I just decided to do what I can do about it, to work as hard as I can, and retain as much information as I can. Because with the way the schools are right now, it's kind of difficult to actually retain the information with not being in class every single day. So you just have to do what you can and try to get the best grades that you can. The way it is now, it actually made me look forward to coming to school, because when we were going 5 days a week, I would kind of just be trudging along the first couple days of the week, not really wanting to come here. But now with the way that it is now, I'm looking forward to coming here on a Tuesday, which in the past I really didn't look forward to doing that. I know at the beginning of the year, it seemed, I wouldn't say dark and gloomy, but it seemed everybody was kind of down because we didn't have any extracurricular activities really. We were stuck at home most of the time. But as more things are starting to open up, as we said before, to different clubs, maybe meeting virtually and whatnot, and then also with hope of maybe the vaccine coming out, it's helping to lighten the spirits a little bit. We've gotten used to it.
Of course, I got to see that ahead of time. Love listening to the student perspective. And the one thing that I kind of took away from that is for every kid in their own unique way, they talked about how teachers have made the difference. How teachers have made this work. How the year started out and they were unsure, they weren't certain. And I love what the one kid said, where it's almost like they're our friends this year. We see them struggle. We get it that they're human too, but we're helping them, they're helping us, and we're getting through this together. And I think that's speaks volumes to what our staff's done this year. So I don't know if you guys have any questions or.
Mr. Chairman. Yes. I'd just like to echo what you just said. Our teachers are absolutely amazing. What they've done with this year, the students, what they've done with the year, staff, the support staff, bus driver, you guys, Dr. Nicely, Dr. McClung, everybody, Dr. Stegall, we're sitting back there. It is amazing. It's just been a wonderful transformation. I know, we can focus on, one of us that thought we should go full speed ahead. Thank goodness we have a team that kind of helps pull back maybe, but I just think y'all have done a wonderful job. That to me, that makes this meeting, to see those kids speak to the fact that they're happier, that we're opening up some things and they're getting some more activities. And so thank y'all for everything, really. Thank you.
Well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Ray?
Yeah. I guess this is more of facilities, basically, but I don't see Mr. Lowe here. But maybe you know anyway, and I was talking about the
Do our best.
transition with the fourth graders coming in, and, you know, they're going to different areas. What is the status on these air purifiers that we have? Do you know, does anybody know the answer to that?
Yes, Mr. Ray. Mr. Lowe worked to using CARES Act funds to, of course, they're already doing the HVA system as recommended, making sure they have the positive airflow as needed. In addition to that, as an extra measure, he's actually able to purchase air purifier units that are going into the classrooms. I think they're about $400 a piece, but these are actively out in the classrooms, and it's just an extra layer of protection, you know, for the classrooms as far as you know, making sure that things are as, you know, going as well as they can be. So those are actively out in the classrooms.
Yeah, I've already talked to at least one principal I know that the kids were very interested. They were trying to figure out, how does this thing work? What's it do? Stuff like that. So the
There's one right
kids
back
have,
there.
there's
Yeah.
one in here right now, but yeah, the kids have actually in the classrooms been looking at them and kind of talking about it and use it kind of as a teachable moment to say, hey, how does this thing work? And go from there. So yeah, I have heard principals talking about them being in the classrooms, so they're out there.
Okay. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, 8.03, COVID-19 updates. Dr. Rhonda Stegall. Good evening.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, and Dr. Nicely. Few data, I'm going to share some data with you today. So the CDC metrics are up for the Roanoke Valley. In the last 14 days, we have gone, 2 weeks ago we were at 7.01, and now we're up to 1,030 new cases, so we're climbing a little bit this week. The percentage of positive tests, last week when we reported, we were at 11.2. This week we're at 13%. So the numbers are creeping up just a little bit. Data from August 23rd. So we went back and took a look at the data beginning when we started school, and just wanted to give you a full picture of where we've been from then to now. The number of positive students that we've had total have been 289. Now remember, you know, these are students who come to us with positive tests, not that they've come to school and then turned positive. These are just students and teachers who have tested positive who attend school. Now keep in mind that you see I'm dividing that by 6,916. That's the number of hybrid students that we have that actually attend school. We don't keep count on kids who are virtual because they're not interacting with our schools. So that's 4% positivity rate for our students in our schools. For positive staff, we have 6%. So we've had 143 staff members who have tested positive, which equates to 6%. Student exposures. Now, when we talk about student exposures, what that is if a positive person comes into one of our schools and then exposes someone at the school or on the school bus, we consider that a school exposure. We've had 68 students exposed, and that's a 1% rate. And then staff exposures, we've had 36 staff exposures, and that's a 2% rate. So that clearly shows that our mitigation strategies are working in the building. We've had, you know, a higher percentage of people who are coming in positive, but there's not much exposure that's taking place. Student quarantines, when we look at the quarantine numbers, what that represents are any student or any staff member who they're feeling the symptoms, they don't feel well, we've asked them to stay at home, and they've done that. So these are the number of people who have been on that quarantine list. Now, that doesn't mean that some of them didn't have a sinus infection and in a couple days went to the doctor and came off that list, right? So this number is really hard to depict what it really means, so I wouldn't look into this number a whole lot. But student quarantines, we've had 3,301. That's a 48% rate of quarantines. I would be curious, I don't know that we have the records to do this, but I would be curious if we went back and looked at the number of days kids were out for illness, because in the wintertime we always typically have some illness. We would have to figure that number in, because all those things are still happening in this number, right? So, and then when you look at staff quarantine numbers, 1,083 staff members have been quarantined, and that's at a 48% rate. One thing you do have to keep in mind here, some students and some staff members have been quarantined more than one time. So that number has not been factored out. That's a small number, so I don't think the percentage is going to change that much. But those are the number of students and staff who have been quarantined for some period of time. Staff vaccines, I just want to tell you a little bit about that process and how it worked. So we've been in constant communication with the health department. We kind of kept feeling that they were approaching quickly. So the way it worked is on Monday, we started collecting names from all staff who were interested in receiving the vaccine. Then by Wednesday, we uploaded that list, or Thursday, we uploaded that list to the health department. Thursday evening, they actually uploaded it immediately, and the email started coming out to our staff. Staff then had to go in, hit the link, and register, and then they were able to gain access to appointments. It was a little clunky to work the system, but several of us were responding to email and helping them through it that first day. Then we had a second list that was uploaded the next day. We had some typos in emails. We had some people who were accidentally left off the list. So in other words, the second day was a cleanup list. So we sent another list up. They got their emails the very next day. So the majority of our staff are up and able to manage their appointments. And then when we look at the numbers of those who have signed up, we've had 2,248 out of 2,868 staff members. Now, the reason that number's high is because we also included substitutes and retirees in that number, so that jumps our employee number up a little bit. So we are at a 78% rate of employees asking to have the vaccine. And Jim Bradshaw was at a region meeting. They had some conversations that most divisions were from 60 to 80%, and we're right there at 78%. So I think that says a lot, that our staff members are definitely wanting to get the vaccine, and they're obviously signing up to do that. So the kickoff vaccine event's going to be this Friday, and the health department has also asked us to provide some volunteers, and lots of us are doing that. And those who do not have appointments at this time, the health department keeps telling us that as vaccine comes into the valley, they are opening up additional appointments. So we're constantly telling people, if you don't have an appointment, go on there every single day and keep looking, because the health department's going to continue to add appointments. So we think they're not concerned one bit that they're going to get every single person in the next week or two. So we just need to encourage people to keep doing that and not to give up on the process. And one thing that was changed from the last time I spoke to you is that originally they were giving out the Moderna vaccine. That has since changed. Roanoke Valley is now receiving Pfizer. She seems to think that Pfizer will be the one, it will definitely be the one provided this week, and she also thinks it's going to be the one provided moving forward. So just know that when we go this week, I'd originally told people that if you scheduled appointments outside of the 22nd event, you would be getting the Moderna, and that is not accurate. Everyone's going to be getting Pfizer. So that's just a little bit update.
Is that a 3-week interval?
It's the 3-week.
Okay.
Yes. And so their idea behind that is as soon as they order the first vaccine, they immediately order the second dose vaccine. So as that vaccine comes in, they start scheduling appointments, and I'm sure you all saw when you went in, they have the second dose only. In 3 weeks, that's when after we get our vaccine, we'll start looking at those second dose clinics and sign up for those. So that's how that will work. Any other questions about?
Dr. Stigall,
Yes.
on the 3 weeks, I think I was talking to Mr. Riley, and it's not definite you have to have it in that 3-week period. Is that correct?
I don't know the timeline. I think you can first get it on that 3rd week marker, but I think you do have some time to get it in. So I don't think there's a rush to get it.
And one other, do you feel like the increase was due to the Christmas break?
I think so. We were on the health call with Dr. Morrow Tuesday, and she did say that the Roanoke Valley in particular has an uptick going on. I kept thinking it would hit us last week, and it didn't. But and plus today, remember we were off yesterday, so we're getting weekend numbers and Monday numbers today. So we looked a little bit higher today. I'm hopeful to see what tomorrow is, because sometimes we go down on the day after we return from a weekend. So that will be a telling sign. But she said to us on our call that Roanoke County was up in numbers this week.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thank you. The 48% quarantine number, wow, it seems very high. Are those students are they going virtually while they're quarantined?
They are, yes. They still continue with work. They go virtually, and the teachers just keep providing their assignments on Blackboard. So rather than attending on the 2 days, they just stay at home all 4. And they're still getting instruction from their teacher.
And are the staff working? I mean, the 48% staff, are they mostly working from
They
home?
are.
Are we having any substitute problems?
No, I've been tracking that as well, and we've been staying around 75 to 80 substitutes needed every single day, and I have not seen a huge influx in that. We have been steady. So we're able to maintain the substitutes at this point. So, but the number of quarantines, I'll see tomorrow whether these numbers today impacted the quarantine numbers. But the thing about the quarantine numbers is every single day people are coming off the list and people are going on the list. So typically it balances itself out. So we've been ranging around 450, 500. We've been fluctuating every week, having that many people that we're tracking. But keep in mind, 50 will come off and 50 will come on. So we stay pretty steady. We haven't seen much of an increase.
Mr. Chairman. And I don't know if this is the right time or the right way to ask, but it's the only way I know to do it. So I noticed yesterday, I think it was, we received an email that Wythe County has went back, I think 100% if I'm not mistaken. I guess my question is, how will this affect, or is this a question I should ask at a work session, but how will that affect, or do we even have any idea how that will affect moving forward the way we look at kids coming back into the classroom?
Well, you want to take it?
Well, I'll just address the one question we've asked, especially with the vaccines coming online, will that affect at some point the need to do the 6-foot distancing versus something short of that? Because as you know, that's the barrier.
Yeah,
so what Dr. Morrow has said is, they're going to be looking for 2 things. One, the vaccination for staff is big, but keep in mind that, students and community members aren't necessarily getting that. So they're really looking for those community numbers to go down before they feel like they've been making those kind of recommendations. But we're all keeping our fingers crossed, and, hopefully the staff vaccinations will help. The more people in the community get, vaccinated. So that's one reason why every single chance we get to, get the word out to the community, please continue to help us out when you go out in public, with the mask wearing, and just keep doing those things, because doing those things will only help get those community numbers down. And as soon as those get down, I think that we're optimistic that coupled with vaccinations, that will hopefully make a difference, hopefully toward the end of the year. But I think they're really looking to get those numbers down first.
Okay. So no discussions at this point. We're just going to see how that goes from here.
Right.
I mean,
that's what they've told us so far. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. 8.04 athletics update. Dr. Stegall.
All right. So winter sports, we've completed 2 weeks of practice so far. We also started games this past Friday. And to date, we've had no concerns with our winter sports teams. Hopeful we'll be able to allow those teams will be allowed to keep playing and moving forward. We have heard that there clearly have been some teams that have not been as lucky. So, I think it's going to eventually, just like it does in pro sports and college sports, it will eventually hit one of our teams and might sideline a few players, and so we're going to have to adjust and move forward. Keep our fingers crossed that doesn't happen, but I'm not, standing here saying that things have been perfect, but at least we haven't had any teams that have totally had to shut down at this time. 3 items that I've talked to the principals and I've talked to the ADs. The ADs have come up with a mitigation plan that they all have gotten together, looked at the VHSL strategies, looked at our mitigation strategies, and have gone through the particulars of what are we going to do for wrestling, what are we going to do for basketball, and they've drilled down the little details. So they have created a packet for each other. They're all agreeing to follow that same packet. So when we go from school to school to school, the coaches show up knowing what to expect. Schools aren't going to be doing different things. We're all going to be on the same page. So that has been given out to the coaches, and all schools have agreed to follow that mitigation strategy. So the ADs and the principals have asked a couple things. So I've got 3 things I'd like to ask for your consideration moving forward. They would like to have a senior night for their seniors, and that what that would look like would be they would pick one game, and so the senior parents would come in and watch the game. In order to do that, we'd have to remove the cheerleaders from that game because we can only have 25 spectators. So what we would do is remove the cheerleaders from that game, allow the parents to come in and watch the game. We would pull the bleachers out on the opposite side of the students and make sure the parents are spread out 6 feet apart throughout the bleachers. All the ADs have looked at their numbers of seniors throughout all their sports. They do feel like they can accomplish this by meeting the protocols, and it would give our parents the opportunity to visit one game. So they would like for you to consider allowing them to have senior parent night, one game.
Would that include the parents of senior cheerleaders?
So they've had lots of different discussion about that. Some of them thought they would do that one game and do the basketball the next game, or consider doing the girls cheerleaders maybe at football because they have 2 opportunities to do that, as long as the teams are going to remain the same because you don't want to miss out on kids. So it would really be, some schools would have the capacity to do 2 different games, do the cheerleaders one, the basketball the other.
So that was a similar question as Mr. Moretz. Could you, I don't guess this would make sense, but I was thinking, could you split up the cheerleaders so that they have a senior, maybe half and half at least? You hate to see them not have their senior night as well.
I think each school is going to have to make that decision because some have more or less seniors, so they probably could do that if they had fewer seniors of basketball and fewer cheerleader seniors. But if you have a higher number, you're not going to be able to do that because you're going to go over that 25 number. So I think what they're looking for is just the permission to do that and plan it accordingly that fits their numbers and fits their school, and as long as they can follow the protocols and stay under 25.
Dr. Gall, do they still have competition cheerleading?
They do. They have that. But they're not always the same. Not all kids compete, and some are just sideline. So we wouldn't want to leave those kids out.
Are you asking us to make a decision this evening?
Yes.
Oh, you are. All right.
Mr. Chairman, I would propose that we allow them to have a senior night.
Do we need to make that decision this evening?
We're coming up on the end of January is their last week. So that means they have to have time to plan because it has to be done before regionals. You can't do that during regional play.
Well, I was going to make a suggestion. Would it be possible, if the board agrees, that we could put this as an agenda item, an add-on for the Thursday session, strategy session? Even though it's a strategy, we at least have some time to think about it, and maybe, because I'd like to know a little bit more about the protocols that they have in place. But we could make a decision on Thursday. Mm-hmm. Is that okay with everyone?
Fine
All
with
right,
me.
let's do that. We'll add that on the agenda for Thursday.
All 3 items.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
The second item I'd like to bring to your attention is will high school teams be allowed to move forward in region play? So I've spoken with all the principals, all the ADs. They do want to provide the opportunity for their athletes to compete as individuals or as a team in region play. We have checked with both regions. Both regions have agreed to allow all of our teams to move forward. The regions are taking an all-in approach, so every team is going to be in for regions, and then you just play your way out. So, of course, when you lose, your season's over, but they are asking for your consideration to allow them. That begins February 2nd for some and February 6th for others. So it's the first month of February is when regional play will start, but that will be for all sports. And of course, on top of that, we'd have to prove a travel. As you know, none of our students or teams have traveled. So on top of that, we are asking for permission to travel. And to know that In their mitigation strategies, they have the same bus protocol that we practice every day with our students. They would have to follow that.
All right, so we'll cover all these three items, and I believe we're going to need to address the funding issue on Thursday as well. All right?
Is this going to be traveled just beyond regionals if they have state tournaments? Or
Could be, yes.
As far as the funding, and I know we're sitting on a lot of money in each school, are they looking to us to fund the full $6,000 per school?
They are. The reason why is we've have an allotment account that they've received $7,500, and they've already received that. Here's what they're having to pay for that are those hidden costs that without an income of revenue that we don't normally see. They're paying for turf supplies. They're paying for new nets. They're paying for repair of ice machines, and they're paying for all these things, equipment for trainers. They're paying for all these things that they typically have a revenue to pay for, and they don't have that revenue. So electric bills, for example.
Helmet reconditioning, football helmet
right.
reconditioning. That's
yeah.
expensive. Right.
So there are basic bills that they have to do in order to get the sports up and running. They're going to use every bit of that $7,500 to cover that. So we're thinking, like, for example, one school has a $6,400 electric bill. So the majority of that is already gone. So there are underlying expenses there that they're going to have to pay. So they will need every bit of that money. I mean, we worked it out to the budget, to the dime, on how much it costs for bus drivers and rental. And I mean, it is exactly what it's going to cost.
But this $6,000 says specifically to cover winter sports.
Right.
That's why I asked the question about winter sports. It's not really to cover the football helmets and some of that, because that's fall sport.
Right. So if we look at the budget, total for all 5 schools for winter is going to be $30,000 to run winter sports that we're currently in. They are using their funds right now to carry the winter sports because, until the bills come due. We've calculated fall and spring sports along with winter. If you total all 3 of them together, the cost is going to be $228,720 to cover expenses. Now, hopefully, by the time we hit football, we'll have vaccines, numbers will come down, maybe the governor will increase our numbers of spectators, and then we can start charging tickets and get some revenue, so that cost could come down. But all those things are going to happen in order for that cost to come down. So I think to be safe, we need to plan for that cost, and if we're able to get some revenue, then we can pull back that money.
Will the revenue from the live streaming of the games go back to the schools, or will that come back as part of what we get reimbursed for that $30,000? Because I know that some of those schools are getting some income from the live streaming.
Yeah, they could. Realistically, I don't know that they're going to make a lot of money off of that. I'm hopeful that they will. Parents will. The only way they really get a good kickback is if a parent signs up for the annual subscription. You can do a game subscription. What worries me is we're so late into the winter season, which is the indoor package, that they may do game to game. But once we get football out, if we don't have spectators and we have the cameras at the football stadium and we have soccer and if we're not able to have spectators, I think that's when we're going to make money off of that. I just don't see it happening in winter because there's so few home games left. One other thing that I have here is we do need a decision on, and we can do that Thursday as well. But the region has asked Northside High School to host the wrestling tournament for region. The reason they're asking that is because Northside has the largest gymnasium of all of the schools in the region. They feel like that's the safest place to hold that event. I think you need to know that they would use the entire gym and 8 classrooms in all locker rooms. So it would be a 2-day event on a Friday and Saturday. They will come in, wrestle. Of course, they will follow all VHSL and regional protocols. And then the idea is we would have staff. The region would pay for our staff to come in and spray at the end of the event Friday night, and then again at the end of the event on Saturday, and all the classrooms prior to our students returning to school on Monday. So I think we need permission from you to move forward with that.
Would this be a zero spectator event?
It is, yes.
So it's just wrestlers.
Mhm.
Do we have any idea how many wrestlers we have in the
At
building?
Today during the meeting, they went from 64 to 100. So they haven't landed on a number as of when I first heard today. So it's going to be a large event.
Well, do you mind if I just weigh in on this for a second? Here's something I'm struggling with, is that we've allowed our kids to play. And we've done it because, we wanted our kids to have some activity, at least some semblance of normalcy, even though it's not designed to be normal. And we did that. We limited our play within Roanoke County for a reason. I'm struggling a little bit about allowing an event that just blows that whole thing out of the water, and we're inviting a lot of schools. So I'm going to have a problem with that one. So we'll talk more about it.
Sure.
But I mean, when you think about what we've set up, we did it for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
We feel that we can control our own destiny with respect to just Roanoke County, but just opening something up to everyone, that kind of defeats what we're trying to do. I have an issue with that.
And I'll get more information. They're supposed to send me the protocols for that event
Right.
because it worries me a little bit too. I mean,
Yeah.
they can't, we don't have enough auditorium or enough space in the gym for all those people to spread out.
And you couldn't pick a more a sport that has more contact either. I mean, so anyway, that's just, yes, Mr. Ray.
I noticed that, you're still waiting on the floor to dry. You want to give us an official update on that now?
Yes. So Pixelot update. We have been pushing quite hard with that, and we've got lucky because we're playing sports while other divisions are not, so they moved us to the front of the list. All of our cable work will be done by this Friday in all 4 gyms. Notice it's 4. Cave Spring High School, we can't get into Cave Spring High School to do the cabling because of the wet floor. So we're still waiting, but as soon as that is ready to go, all companies have agreed they'll come back and take care of Cave Spring. The camera systems have been installed at Northside High School and Glenver High School. By Friday, Hidden Valley High School and William Byrd High School will be installed. And then next week, they're going to come back and they're going to hook up all the cameras at one time. So we're hopeful that we can get Cave Springs gym floor ready, drop the cables, get it hooked up by the time the company comes to hook everything up. So we're hoping at the first of next week that we will have some of the systems up and running. Now, I will tell you that we're hopeful that we could just take off and start streaming. This system is very difficult to manage. So we've heard from some other divisions, it takes someone who really spends some time learning the program and uploading the times and the deadlines and all of that. So we're hopeful somebody in our division is going to learn it quick and share it with everybody else so we can get up and going. But we're hoping at the first of next week. The other idea is if we do have regional play, there could be a likelihood that we would host some regional games. And then that streaming equipment would be up and ready for that. I think we could possibly get some money then because those visiting teams who can't come, those parents would purchase those games from us.
More to come on Thursday.
Okay, very
thank
good.
you.
Thank you.
Okay. Agenda item number 9, report by Superintendent. Dr. Nicely.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This has been a very busy week and lots of really exciting things going on. As we were reminded earlier, it's been very eventful regarding our school schedule. So I just wanted to share a couple things just to kind of circle back around to some things we heard today. So to reiterate Dr. Stegall's report, we were thrilled to receive from the Health Department about the vaccination clinics for teachers and staff moving forward. Of course, the large kickoff on Friday, we were thrilled to hear that. It does further complicate what was already a busy week as far as trying to make the transition with bringing more students back in, but we really do appreciate our teachers, our staff, our students and parents being very flexible and kind of rolling with our need to change, further the schedule for this week to make sure that all those pieces are put into place. We also, of course, heard last week officially from the governor emphasizing school districts providing more in-person learning as long as they continue the 5 mitigation measures, including 6-foot distancing.
We've had, lots of conversations. The guidance is designed to encourage districts that have mostly been online, throughout Virginia, or just responding to community measures, shutting down and going completely online, really saying, look, there's lots of divisions doing like what Roanoke County has done, really starting, this school year, and it's been successful. Avoiding those significant, as Dr. Seagal was reporting, those significant COVID transmissions at schools. Schools are safe places for kids to be as long as they're, doing those mitigation measures as we've been doing. So we really, the approach that we're using, and in fact, expanding our plan for next week has been endorsed now officially by the Virginia Department of Health, as well as our local health department through those weekly calls. So we're really grateful for that affirmation, because it really does affirm the path that we started off on the beginning of the year and continue to do so. So I just want to emphasize for our staff especially, I know they're concerned in some cases about more students coming in starting next week, but our plan to expand daily attendance next week to fourth graders and other identified students is designed to maximize our staff and space resources while not letting our guard down with the mitigation measures that have been working. So this has all been done in concert, with the health department, and who have, given their blessing to do this as long as we continue to follow those measures. I just want to reassure our staff members regarding that advice we've gotten. Just to conclude, I want to thank Dr. Morrow from our health department for providing continued support and guidance. I want to thank our school board for supporting our expanded plan for in-person learning that starts next week. And also, lastly, thank our principals, teachers, and staff for making all of this happen next week on behalf of our students.
Thank you. All right. Reports and inquiries of board members.
I really don't.
Mr. Chairman, yes. One thing to have on, from a fairly reliable source anyway, one of the members of the Board of Supervisors, that the county recently refinanced some of their bond debt, of which obviously the school debt is a significant portion of. I'm a little curious, and Susan may know the answer, but whether that trickles down and the school gets some savings when they refinance that debt to a lower interest rate. So if we could maybe get an answer on that, if Susan could check with Rebecca. And the only other thing I had, and people knew my position there on sports, but I will say one positive thing from a sporting event last night. Zeta Porter over at Cave Spring became the all-time scoring leader for the girls' team at Cave Spring. And nice young lady getting ready to head over to Appalachian State next year. So that was a positive thing that came out of last night's game. So congratulations, Zeta.
Stole my thunder on that, but that's
Oh,
good.
I'm sorry.
I'm glad-
I was
glad-
there to see it.
I was glad, but, well, I didn't. Yeah, I wasn't there. Anyway, I've gotten some calls from some teachers and some parents, some anxiety. We got a change here. We got, the fourth graders coming back, which is different, which some are excited and some are apprehensive. So, and, working through these individual things, I think staff has, tried to work on some of these issues where they're going to different locations, it's maybe not a normal classroom environment, setup. And, it takes a team, and it takes the teacher, it takes staff, it takes the principal, it takes the cleaning staff, everybody involved to make this come together and work. And I think they're all working together to try to, do this so we can get as many kids back as we possibly can. The individual situations, I've passed these along, and so they've been working on these concerns. So, it sounds like we'll be ready to go on Monday. So I thank you, Dr. Nicely, and your staff for working on these individual situations and, making this work. So thank you. That's all.
Mr. Moritz, anything?
Yeah. Yeah, nothing too long for me. Just, want to thank staff and everybody working hard to, safely get some kids back in school. I know that, at the end of the day, I've said this 1,000 times since the beginning of the school year. I know we're not going to make everybody happy. I mean, we got both sides of the aisle. But I feel like we've reached a good compromise on several things. We always don't get get everything we want, but we've really tried, to be thoughtful and come up with a compromise that, at least moves us in the right direction. I'm really excited, at the percentage of signups for the vaccine. I think that's certainly a step in the the right direction, and I'm looking forward to the second dose on that as well. So thanks again, staff, teachers, everybody. Appreciate from the bottom of my heart everything you're doing, so it doesn't go unnoticed.
Mr. Greenway, anything?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yes, welcome back. I wanted, do you mind if I share?
No, that's fine. Yeah.
Well, we have 5 board members and 2 contracted coronavirus, and thank goodness we have both of them back here healthy. And if it had been, I said this jokingly in an email, if 3 of the board members up here would have contracted and had something serious, we wouldn't have had a functioning school board. And that make some people happy, don't know. But anyway, we're the vaccines are right around the corner. I just wanted to take if you look at 2020, it was clearly an annus horribilis. It was a terrible year, and thank goodness it's passed and we're into 2021. And I think there's a lot to be optimistic about when you look at the vaccine rollout, especially here in Southwest Roanoke. With our teachers. I mean, that for once government recognized the problem and I think did something about it, because we can't get our kids back in school unless we can make sure that our staff are safe. And the vaccine rollout, at least from my perspective here in Roanoke County school system, thanks to Dr. Segal and Dr. Nicely and working with the health department, I believe that seems to be going very well. The first vaccines, I believe, start tomorrow, and Friday is a big event. There's a lot of things that I think that we have to look forward to next year, this year. I really hope we can find a way to give our seniors a real live graduation. I would love to be able to see that they can have some sort of a prom. I know my daughter last year was robbed of all that, as many people were robbed of a lot of things, some more serious, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. I just wanted to say that I believe that this board's priorities this year in 2021, and we're going to have a strategy session on Thursday, is clearly we want to make sure that we take care of our teachers. And teacher pay is going to be a major priority for us. What this board believes in raises, not bonuses, because we think that's the best thing to do for our teachers. So that's something that'll be high on the list. And I think you'll see capital funding for school construction and just operational funding be a major priority that this board is going to tackle this year. And thank goodness the interest rates are down. That means we can borrow more money to build more schools. So that's a great thing. All right. With that, the meeting's adjourned. Thanks. All right.